What's going on, guys? My name's Theowatrix and welcome to the top 5 most profitable bosses in Old School. Bossing is the most lucrative activity in Runescape, and this countdown essentially shows the 5 best moneymakers in the game. Let's get into it. At number 5 is Hunlef in the Corrupted Gauntlet. For each Corrupted Gauntlet completion, players are rewarded with an average of 680k in loot, and with some practice, players can average 6 completions per hour, which adds up to 4.1 mil an hour in profit. More skilled players can complete the gauntlet with only one tier 3 weapon, which saves time, and these players can max out their completions at 8 to 9 per hour, depending on RNG. This means a maximum of 6.2 mil GP per hour. Compared to the regular gauntlet, the Corrupted Gauntlet gives 440k more GP per completion, and that's due to the increased drop rate of the enhanced Crystal Weapon Seed. To access the Corrupted Gauntlet, players need to have completed the Song of the Elves quest, plus complete the regular gauntlet once. At least 85 in all combat stats, along with 77 prayer, is basically required as well. Overall, the Corrupted Gauntlet is the best way to rebuild your account, since there's no item or gear requirements. It does take time and practice to defeat Hunlef, the final boss, although players can take advantage of Runelight plugins to make things a lot easier. So that was the Corrupted Gauntlet at number 5, averaging 4.1 mil GP per hour or 6.2 mil GP per hour at high efficiency. Before I get onto number 4, I have a sponsor for today's video. Opera GX is a web browser made for gamers. In the GX control panel, you can limit the browser's CPU usage as well as RAM usage to enhance your PC's performance. There's also a network limiter to lower the bandwidth used by Opera. Moving from another browser is easy. There's an import tool which allows you to easily transfer data like bookmarks, web history, and cookies from other browsers. Opera GX has its own browser extension store, but interestingly, Chrome extensions are also compatible with Opera GX, so you can use all of your favorite extensions in one place. In the top left, you can access the GX Corner, which keeps you up to date with game releases, and if you download Opera with my link, you get a widget in the GX Corner that shows my 12 latest uploads. So join the millions of gamers optimizing their setup and download Opera GX for free by clicking the link in the description. Thanks to Opera for sponsoring this video. At number 4 is the Chambers of Xeric, which is the first raid that was added to Old School. In solo raids, every completion nets you approximately 2.1 mil in profit if you get 30,000 points. On average, skilled players can complete a solo raid every 25 minutes, including gearing and scouting. With 2.1 mil profit per raid, it equates to 5.1 mil GP per hour in profit. There's no strict requirements to partake in the Chambers of Xeric, but at least 80 in the combat stats and 77 prayer is strongly recommended. Currently, the best possible gear setup costs 4.9 bill, although you can get away with a 40 mil setup at minimum. The hardest part about solo raids is Olm, since strategies like mage running and 4-to-1ing are pretty much required. Both of these strategies aren't easy to learn, but they're vital in reducing the amount of damage you take at Olm. So that was number 4, where solo Chambers of Xeric nets 5.1 mil per hour. At number 3 on the list is the Theatre of Blood, and this is the second installment of raids in Old School and is a raid ruled by vampires. In trios, for every deathless completion, you can expect an average of 2.3 mil in loot. In trios, players on average get 3.2 completions per hour, and this makes the average hourly profit 7.3 million GP. To be able to get 3.2 completions per hour, the average PVMer would need to do at least 25 to 50 theaters to understand the bosses. The only requirement to participate in the theatre is the Priest in Peril quest, although completion of a Taste of Hope is highly recommended as it provides a teleport directly to the theatre, at least level 90 ranged, and the melee stats is strongly recommended, as well as 94 magic for Vengeance. For the theatre, the max gear setup costs 2.2 bill, although you can get away with far less expensive setups. Currently, around 450 mil will get you an awesome setup with Void Mage in range, plus Bandos. The hardest part about the Theatre of Blood is getting used to the boss mechanics, since they're very punishing. New players might find themselves dying often if they don't know what the boss is truly doing. So that was the Theatre of Blood at number 3, giving 7.3 mil GP per hour. At number 2, we have Nex, who was introduced to Old School at the beginning of 2022. Nex was the best moneymaker in the game for a number of months, but was recently overtaken. In 6-man teams with high-level gear, players can earn 10 million GP per hour if they get 12 kills per hour. In duos with consistency, players can average 11 mil per hour, and that's if you average 4 kills. So there's not a huge difference in the GP per hour between the two, but 6-mans are far more relaxed. In duos, you take a lot more damage since Nex is only aggressive to 2 people. This means you'll do more banking and spend more time getting Zaros kill count to access Nex. Although, Jagex has proposed an improvement to the combat achievement reward, which lowers the amount of kill count needed to access God Wars bosses. With Grandmaster combat achievements, Jagex is proposing to only need 15 kill count to enter, so this reward will greatly benefit those farming Nex, particularly in duos. To access Nex, players need to assemble a frozen key, and the 4 pieces of the key are obtained by defeating the 4 generals of God Wars. So that means you need 70 in the following stats to access Nex. At minimum, it's also suggested to have at least 90 range and 90 in the melee combats, as well as 77 prayer for rigor. So that's Nex at number 2, giving 11 mil per hour in duos. At number 1 on this list is the Tombs of a Mascot. Players complete 4 separate paths and then fight against the Wardens. To partake in the tombs, players need to have completed the Beneath Cursed Sands quest, which mid-level accounts can complete. Your loot in the tombs scales depending on the raid level, which you can change by activating invocations. These are selected in the lobby and make the conditions of the raid more difficult. The most profitable strategy is soloing with at least 500 invocation points active, and that nets you over 20 mil GP per hour. The hourly rate assumes that you're doing 1.5 completions per hour, which is what an advanced player would average. Per completion, you average 13.3 mil in profit with supplies accounted for. The huge profit is largely due to the loot from the tombs being so expensive right now. The hardest part of soloing is staying consistent, because any slight mistake can result in an instant death. There's a number of high-level strategies used, for example using the Blowing Mud to trap the melee scarab in the Kefri room. It allows players to immobilize the melee scarab so they don't have to worry about praying melee while fighting Kefri. In terms of requirements to be able to do solo 500s, it's strongly suggested to have at least 95 in the combat stats, as well as 77 prayer. It's best to be max combat, and having an even higher prayer level is beneficial. Recently, a YouTuber uploaded a video of completing a solo 500 in 13 mil worth of gear. They use a budget setup to complete the entire raid, but with the 13 mil worth of gear that they had to employ some very high level strategies to be consistent. So that's the top 5. We had the Corrupted Gauntlet at number 5, Solo Chambers of Xeric, then the Theatre of Blood, Nex, and the Tombs of a Mascot. Anyways guys, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more old school content. Be sure to check out Opera GX to level up your gaming, and thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching.